going back to Minneapolis, why can't we just say we made a mistake? I will ask you one question, if you can just give me a quick response. Who does Tom Homan work for? You or the president?
The president.
Okay. Why is that? Because I believe the president recognized that you weren't getting it done in Minneapolis, and you're putting us further away from pointing to this. We're beginning to get the American people to think that deporting people is wrong. It's the exact opposite. The way you're going about deporting them is wrong. The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Ms. Good and Mr. Petty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking after the facts. Not only should the FBI be investigating it, but every single law enforcement agency in that jurisdiction should be invited to it, so our law enforcement officers do not have this pall cast upon them. One of the reasons why ICE officers are having threats, and damn the people that threaten ICE officers, because so many of them are doing a good job, is because you've cast a pall on them by acting like we should investigate things differently. Officer-involved shootings have a formula that we should go through every time. And we're not going through that formula. As a matter of fact, in Ms. Good's case, I think that they were even saying that maybe there wasn't even a need to do it in the DOJ. I hope that that's changed. But I'm telling you, it was a civil rights review. I saw your frown. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But originally, Blanche said there wouldn't be an investigation. Folks, law enforcement, we've got to have their back. We've got to make it clear when they make a mistake, then they get corrected for it. But you don't walk away from it, and you've done it too many times. Now, Secretary, I read your book last week. And honestly, some of the parts of it impressed me, but some of it distresses me. And I'll give you a good example of one that does. The passage where you talk about killing a dog that was 14 months old. I train dogs, all right? And you are a farmer. You should know better. You should know that if you're going out to a hunting lodge and you're putting pheasants out and you're putting dogs out, you don't take a puppy out there. A 14-month-old dog is basically a teenager in dog years. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested the appropriate time in training, and then you have the audacity to go into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices. It's in your book. We could play it if we had time. At that same lunch hour, you killed a goat. And you killed the goat because you said it was behaving badly. You are a
This is, imagine you killing a 14-month-old puppy, shooting a 14-month-old puppy to death with a gun, and then on the same day, you grab an innocent goat. You take that goat to the farm, and you shoot the goat, and you bury the goat alongside that 14-month-old puppy. And then you have the audacity to write it in a book, depicting that as leadership skills. And then guess what? Boy, oh boy. And she's given this job, this high job, Homeland Secretary. She's given this high job. But this day was the day that cracked the camel's back. And Mr. Tom Tillis is the one who forced Donald Trump to fire this young woman. Is she a young woman? No, this Barbie Queen. And also, it's funny how it is a woman that is the first one to be fired from Donald Trump's cabinet. So all those people who had things to do with Jeffrey Epstein, they are untouchable. Even the guy, what's his name, Lutnick? Is it Lutnick? Howard Lutnick, who lied that the first time he was invited to Jeffrey Epstein's house because they were neighbors, he heard and saw the things and the kind of things that Epstein was insinuating that he does. That Epstein was a very, he used, what did he use? Vile, disgusting human being. And he told his wife that they will never, ever come close to Jeffrey Epstein in any capacity. Business, social, not at all. And guess what? It came out that Howard Lutnick, with his wife, with his children, with his nannies, were socializing on Little St. James Island with who? Jeffrey Epstein. He lied, and he was found out that he visited not once. Photos are out that he went there again the second time. I don't know if that's the second time or that was the first time. But Donald Trump did not fire him. Donald Trump did not fire him. Donald Trump fired by a woman. The woman was never at Jeffrey Epstein's island. It's just that she's just too bad at her job. She is so bad at her job. But Donald Trump, the Epstein cabinet is still alive. Nobody has been fired. And from the way we are all seeing things, nobody is going to be fired, because if anybody was on that Epstein island is fired, then they will need to tell it all. So you can see the men are looking after each other. The bros of Epstein, the Epstein cabinet, the men. Because how will you sack this woman? Yes, we know she is bad at her job. By the way, I'm not an American. I'm your uncle from Africa who lives in the United Kingdom. But we are watching what is happening in America, because this is a big, big comedy show. If you're not enjoying this, then you are not alive. Because guess what? You have to. Because the orange old man is about to set this wall on fire. The wall is already on fire anyway. Part of the wall is already on fire. And it's coming closer to us, whether we like it or not. Because this thing is slowly going to drag into a, what's it called, religious war. Because let's not forget who the Ayatollah is. How many Muslims are there in the world? 2-point-something billion Muslims. How many Christians? Also 2-point-something billion. So when this thing is going to go too far, because we know, I said it before in one of my videos, we know that there are so many sleeper cells, terrorist cells all over the world, because there are Muslims everywhere. I know Muslims, when they believe in something, Muslims are not like Christians. Christians, we are scared to death. No Christian will ever put his life in danger. But Muslims, that thing that they believe that they will die and they will be awarded 7 virgins. Some of them really believe in that shit. But us Christians, no. We know all the virgins, everything that we have to enjoy is on this earth. So we cannot sacrifice our life. But Muslims, that is why everybody should be scared. Everybody should be listening. Everybody should be talking, because it's going to slowly get onto us. But as I said, you see, Trump can always bully the women. How many times does Trump insult women when women are trying? Because he doesn't see women as equal to him. Howard Lutnick should have been sacked or fired. Sacked and fired are the same thing. Or resign under pressure. But because he knows that the things that he knows about Jeffrey Epstein also concern his boss, Donald Trump. And if we are not careful, them two must have been in one of those parties. I mean, Howard Lutnick and Donald J. Trump. Because why is Trump keeping him? This is something very, very serious for Americans. Americans, they want to get to the bottom of the Jeffrey Epstein files. They want to know who was involved, who did what, to which girl, what time, and how old was the girl. They want to know also if Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. They want to know if Epstein was working for Israel or for Russia. They want to know all of those details. And somebody like Howard Lutnick, he most likely have the answers to some of these things. Because the kind of way he defended him, not liking Jeffrey Epstein, not for us, seeing emails and pictures, but these guys too, what was he thinking? Was he thinking that this was just going to disappear like that, poof? Anyway, guys, I am going to be shooting these videos like crazy now, because I think consistency is the key. All of us are on this YouTube because we are trying to make something. We are trying to be creative and to get people to be talking about our videos. So I'm going to be, I know I've got my job, what I do, but I need to also put in time. And I'm just asking you guys, once you see my video, even if you don't like it, smash that subscription button, smash the like button, comment on the video, because if you don't comment, the comment is going to be about you one day. So you better comment, because this is what is happening in the world. This is not fantasy. This is not some movie. This is real life. What is happening is real life. So, Tom Tillis,
farmer. You don't.
I blame you for Kristi Noem being fired.
We've done that before, but my point is, those are bad decisions made in the.
He killed her.
Not unlike what happened up in Minneapolis. I expect we're an exceptional nation. And one of the reasons we're exceptional is we expect exceptional leadership. And you've demonstrated anything but that in the time that I've seen you responding to the emergency in North Carolina and across the Southeast, and acknowledging when mistakes are made, and speaking too soon for the expedient of social media or whatever it is. I'll leave you with this, Ms. Noem. I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago. That was one of the investigations in Charlotte, 20 minutes from where I live. All I asked for, if it had to be anonymized, was information so that I could determine if your hit rate is right. I want to find more of those people, and I want to detain fewer of the others. And Mr. Chair, in my remaining time, I have a lot to go. But I want to submit this letter from the Office of Inspector General that cites 10 different instances.
He went in hard on her. Seriously. He went in hard.
Investigations that they think are critically important. Does anybody have any idea how bad it has to be for the OIG in this agency to come out and do this publicly? That is stonewalling. That's a failure of leadership, and that is why I've called for your resignation. And if I don't get an answer to these questions...
She did not resign, and she was fired. He doesn't want any applause.
Get an answer to these questions. If I don't get an answer that you've had a month to respond to, and the remaining ones, as of today, I'll be informing leadership that I'm putting a hold on any en bloc nominations until I get a response. And in 2 weeks...
That was tough. That was...
them deported, but do so.
This one from Jasmine Crockett was like a slam dunk.
I would disagree with the judge on several
I'm sure you
points
would, but can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
Father chose to.
Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
If I have what?
A law degree.
No, I do not have a law
Okay,
degree.
and you do understand. 'Cause I can go through a bunch of court cases and order-
Yo, if you don't have a law degree, then shut your mouth. Don't talk to us. Don't tell us that you disagree with a judge when you don't have a law degree, because you don't know anything about the law. That is what Jasmine Crockett was telling her. Do not tell us whether you like the judge or you disagree with the judgment, because you do not have a law degree. So zip it, because your opinion about the judgment doesn't count, because you have nothing to offer. That was a slam. That was like, drop the mic. Boom. Done. Yo, these guys.
Thank you. Secretary Noem,
They murdered this
you know
lady.
what the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says?
Search and seizure processes.
What about it? Huh? What about it? What about search and
It
seizure?
guarantees the right to a lawful search and seizure.
It protects individuals against unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. And I ask you that because I've sent you 3 different letters going back to February of 2025, raising concerns that you are unlawfully detaining U.S. citizens in violation of the Fourth Amendment. It was not until yesterday afternoon, more than a year after I sent you my first letter, that I finally received a response from you stating that ICE has detained 18 U.S. citizens. I want to introduce you to just 4 of the U.S. citizens unlawfully detained by ICE who are not even included in the 18 individuals that you cite in your response to me. They're in this room with us.
So 4 plus 18 is 22.
And as I read your story. Patricia O'Keefe was monitoring ICE agents when they deployed pepper spray into her car vent without provocation. They smashed her car windows, pulled her and her friend out, arrested them for, quote, obstruction, and detained them. Patricia saw an entire area dedicated to detaining U.S. citizens. An ICE agent also said, quote, you guys have to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead, end quote.
Whoa.
Referring to Renee Good, ICE detained Patricia for over 8 hours. Ryan Eklund was monitoring ICE activity in his car when ICE agents blocked him and took his photo, then appeared to use that photo to go to his neighborhood and try to intimidate him. He was still in the car when they approached him, pulled him from his car, and put him in leg irons. Ryan was detained for 6 hours. ICE agents shot Wesley Powers with a pepper ball while he was peacefully protesting ICE activity. ICE detained him for 8 hours, gave him no medical assistance, leaving him in clothes that still had dangerous chemical residue. When doctors examined Wesley after his release, the medical professional opinion was that what ICE agents did to him constituted assault. Edmund Higgins is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. While legally observing
U.S. Marine Corps veteran.
times, and when he saw agents driving down a narrow road, he actually drove away. But agents chased him until he sought refuge at a local police station. When agents drew their firearms and pointed them at Edmond, well-trained local police officers diffused the situation, but your agents still insisted on detaining Edmond for 6 hours. Secretary Noem, yesterday in the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, you stated that ICE agents may arrest U.S. citizens in the situation where they were obstructing law enforcement or in situations where you have reasons to doubt that they're U.S. citizens. Is that still your position?
I said, or probable cause.
So let me ask each of the U.S. citizens in the audience who were detained. Raise your hand if you were not charged with any crime following your detention. Not a single one of you were charged with a crime.
Not a single one of them.
Raise your hand if any of you were not even asked to prove that you were U.S. citizens during your detention. Not a single one of you were even asked about your citizenship status, making it clear that DHS agents simply don't care that they're arresting U.S. citizens. Now please raise your hand.
They are above the law.
You were detained by ICE simply for legally protesting or monitoring ICE activity under your First Amendment rights. All 4 U.S. citizens have raised their hands that they were detained simply for legally protesting or monitoring ICE activity. Secretary, these are not 4 isolated incidents. ProPublica's reporting puts the number at over 170 U.S. citizens detained in just
170.
the administration, which doesn't even include Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota. None of these 4 U.S. citizens were charged with a crime. None had their citizenship questioned, and all were lawfully exercising their First Amendment rights. Do you have anything you want to say to them or the millions of American citizens across the country that are watching this and horrified?
Is she going to actually say anything?
Well, context is critical in each of these situations to know the full range of what happened in each of these situations before and after the incident and their arrest.
Secretary, not a single one was charged with a crime. Not a single one, and they were detained. And let me just reclaim my time for my final seconds. DHS is supposed to be protecting our residents and
She was supposed to be fired.
You've turned that on the head. You have
She was supposed to be fired.
government. No, I don't think it would stop it because this is a culture problem. This goes deep into what DHS thinks that they have the right to do, and that includes violating people's rights. So would body cameras help? Maybe, but not without somebody who is really demanding accountability and holding people accountable when they...
Japa calls for Noem's removal as DHS leader after House judiciary hearing. So this is maybe the last straw of the that break the camel's back. And she was, you are fired by the orange man.
And that